Hello, welcome to the Augur 8 Not Augur meeting for January 20th, 2026. And we have a very light agenda today, but open to other things. Welcome to Johnson, who's joined us, and Kelly, Adrian. The one thing that Adrian had thought of before ChaosCon, and that's we're kind of like in a high velocity release process right now in preparation for ChaosCon. Um, so that's what we've got kind of a light agenda, which is pretty typical, and we're trying to get a release out, which is also pretty typical. Um, so Johnson, before we kind of go on with our agenda and the pull request reviews that we were going to do here, do you have anything that you want to bring up? I'm gonna
Not
take.
really, not really.
Okay. All right.
No. Yeah. Maybe I'll have some questions at the end, but not for now.
All right. That sounds good. So right now I am staring at the startup screen to see if Adrian's branch works.
Yeah, Adrian, what's the state of our, like, 'cause yeah, I think there's a lot of, we're all like testing different things actively right now.
Yeah, I have yet to um undo the state of that one repo.
Okay.
But I think the I have an image that should be built for the second test. So I'll do that after this call. I've been getting a little distracted because I think our department's trying to put together a promo video and I've been asked to record some people in the Boston office. So I'm like
Getting
getting
pulled in a lot
Slack
of
messages
different,
and telling people to throw time on my calendar and I'll deal with it later.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, for some context, it's probably worth like more of a conversation like the maintainers call of like how do we want to handle this long term with the issue that comes from chaining. It doesn't seem like there was that the bug was from the auger side, but more of a celery issue. Either way, we need to find a way around it. Um, the first attempt that Adrian tried out yesterday, once I saw it this morning, I was like, oh, I get why this doesn't work. Um, and so by taking it out of the chain, even though it was ordered, it means that the scheduling is ordered, not the completion is ordered. So it wasn't a good solution for the problem at hand. But Andrew had suggested just putting the pull request comments function inside of the it's pull request review comments and putting that inside of pull request review to make it to where it has to be in order, but it's in the same seems like a pretty good workaround, but probably is worth a discussion of how to actually fix the issue instead of patching the issue. But we're looking for a patch for right now, for the very least, that we can keep collection moving. Because this is pretty hindering pretty much all progress on secondary collection. So that's kind of what we're working on the Red Hat side of house. Um, because from us, facade and core are kind of well-oiled machines at this point. Maybe we still have there's some smaller errors that we want to work on, but nothing like a major hindrance like we are with secondary right now. Um, yeah.
Do we want to look at that issue, Adrian? Like, I don't have a, I haven't since we talked yesterday afternoon, I haven't gotten myself up to speed with it entirely, but is there something that you think we can look at?
With our secondary things.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
I think it's mostly I think it's mostly dependent on what our results of our second. So the first test was just me tinkering around with sort of the ordering of the celery sort of workflow to try and see if that worked. And I don't it didn't seem like that worked. Um So I tried. There's a suggestion from Andrew that he made on Discord yesterday that I was like, hey, that's actually that it helps increase our roadmap because I didn't have any other ideas after that first one. So we're trying that one now. I'll probably be deploying that after this call, and we'll probably know before the maintainers call whether or not that worked. Um, that might be a better conversation. Like if we want to deep dive into that, that might be better for the maintainers call because we'll probably have like Andrew and some other people who pretty much wrote the collection process like
Mhm.
there to help.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
certainly know that the chaining is one of the strategies that we used to insert to make the dependencies between the tasks be handled by the app because it's really inefficient if the app starts to insert data into the database that doesn't have parent records because that basically just offloads the sequence of collection to it offloads the sequence of collection to the database, which gets extremely expensive on a server. So that's why the
yeah.
chaining exists. I don't doubt there is some kind of celery chaining issue. Um,
Yeah, I'm not questioning why they have to be run in a particular or like I was just asking because I didn't 100% know, but I understand that they have to be in this done in the right order. It's just I think the fact that we had that chain nested within a group of other tasks in Celery, I think there's some known Celery bugs, at least for based on a quick search, um, where like those kinds of structures don't suit. Like I guess there's some Celery bugs with that, and we were seeing that the pull request reviews, like the first part of that chain was running and getting scheduled and completing, but we were not seeing anything even scheduled for the second one. Um, and so it's like, what's going on here? Why is this not scheduling? Because if the second piece of that chain's not scheduling, that whole group is probably not completing, or that whole line is probably not completing, and then the whole group is not going, and then it's not going to get marked as success. So it's just kind of like I do probably need a lot more context on like how scheduling works and how all that's kind of supposed to work in terms of because I know I think Callie's been trying to look at Flower and see like whether tasks are scheduled and whether they're completing. And I think I remember some conversations a while ago about how we may be only scheduling the number of tasks that like can be processed right like by the number of workers we have or something. So we're maybe not those maybe aren't being scheduled, but then maybe there might be some kind of weird stuff going on there that we could look into, but that might be better for the maintainers call.
okay, that sounds good. I don't have anything.
I did see your message on Slack. Do you want to quickly jump back to your so that issue you were testing? So it seems like you said it worked, but you ran into a different error. Your
Yeah, but
incident
I
was
don't think
saying
the
there's
error's
like
got any. I think the error is just like unrelated to anything.
yeah. So
I
that
think it's
particular
just like
error that
a
you saw the
random.
one of the routes is crashing because the like request reports isn't um like a function doesn't exist.
Yeah.
One of the commits, one of the PRs we've gotten recently resolves that. I think I preemptively just sort of added that to the current milestone so you can find it easily if you want to test that and review that. But yeah,
All right,
just
that sounds. It's
close the
added to
loop
the
on that if you
milestone
want.
though.
Um,
All right, so this worked. I'm gonna. Sorry, something stupid that I was doing. Okay, now I have to fix that. Oof, sorry. What was that PR name?
the one with your issue, 3516, I think, is the number.
I screwed up the branch.
I can pull it I can pull it on mine, and
Yeah, pull it on yours, and
you're just trying to remove the commits for that one extra
I'm
file.
trying to remove the commit for the extra file, which was basically me just making sure I had my GitHub configured, which was stupid, but that's where we are.
Okay, I'll just force push that branch with the previous version.
Meanwhile, it does look like things are running, and I didn't get any errors, so I mean, I think it's definitely fixes the bare metal issue.
Sweet. Then I guess feel free to merge it. I don't think this should affect. I mean, it's yeah. This should be fine. If it, I mean, it was passing all the tests I think before. So
Hey, I it says I was requested for review, but I did the review, I thought.
it might have
Yeah.
I mean, not submitting it would help. But I think
Yeah.
also sometimes if you force push it will dismiss all the approving reviews or something. Do you want me to rebase it as well, or I guess it doesn't
No,
matter.
it should be fine. What do I want to do here? I haven't seen this before, but it's probably a byproduct.
I think GitHub's been starting to like kind of like force that. You don't super have to. I tend to prefer rebase. Um,
All right, do
but
that.
yeah,
Oop,
but
well, that
also
could,
if you click rebase, it's gonna have to rerun all the tests. So if you're waiting for the tests to pass, then
I think we're good. They passed already.
Sweet. And then what was I wasn't sure how much I picked up of this from the various maintainers calls, but like what are your kind of criteria for when to release? Like it sounds like you're kind of wanting the obviously to be able to bring up the main
So
branch
yeah,
and have it not have any major issues.
uh,
Um,
not issues is important. Stability is important. So like all the Ciara passes, CI passes. There are there's nothing on our roadmap for that release that's missing that we think we need. And I think it sounds like right now we do want to possibly try to solve this issue with secondary collection before we release. Like it seems like that falls under the category of something that's really important to fix that we should
Yeah, I would
get
also
into
like
this
to
release.
confirm that it's happening on other people's instances. I don't see how it wouldn't, but we are the only instance that's reporting this problem.
yeah, because I also noticed I think when I was trying the
What would
initial
I do
first
to
version of
what
the
would I do to
fix.
evaluate if I was experiencing the problem as you
I can give you a good query, or no, if good is the right, an easy query to figure that out. I'll put
I'm a
this in.
huge fan of easy.
Um, because if you look at, I'm gonna put this in the thread that's about this issue. Where is it? Um, Give me just a second. I just did the channel because then you can see how long it's been since you've had a. You have to go to the bottom of all your nulls, but the first it orders your like collection by the um last collected on date for secondary, and so you can kind of see if how long has it been since you've had successful secondary collection. Somewhere in December, we stopped having successful secondary collection, and I don't know why. That's also a big portion of it is like, why did this like happen? Was it upgrade? Did we upgrade some packages that ended up like unknowingly impacting this? Um, Maybe we're the ones that were
September.
passing. What?
Did you say September?
She said
December.
December.
December, okay.
Yeah, because the last time that we have seen any successful collection for secondary has been in December, but mostly my theory is that it might be repositories that don't have any PRs, and so it never even gets, and so there might be something that's like, oh, no PR reviews, and so you don't need to go to PR commits. That is a completely uninvestigated theory.
So yeah, let me show you what I'm seeing. So I've got nulls first. That's the
Yeah.
default behavior. So pardon me, this is kind of a wide query result, but the secondary data last collected is in this column. Obviously, I'm getting secondary data. That fact makes me ask the question about whether or not the things that your instance may be stuck on are in fact very large repos, or
But they're
if,
not getting scheduled. Like it's like they're
yeah,
never get like that task is never getting scheduled. It's not that they're getting stuck. All of the other four tasks that are related to secondary are completing, are getting scheduled and succeeding, and the like pull request review comment is never being seen by our instance. And so it'd be interesting to see if your instance is scheduling, if you can go to Flower.
yep, I
I would be
can.
curious to see if you control F on, I'll put this just in,
All right, I'm in Flower now.
just the collect, I just put it in persist, like, I'm just putting these in Slack so then you can see, like, they're there. Um, just to see if that task is ever scheduling. It's the very last thing. I already put it down there.
Collect pull request review comments.
Yep, go.
Okay. Hold on,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, if you just search for that in the tasks tab
Yeah,
of
it's right there. Just
Flower.
copy and paste.
Okay. Oops.
You need to collect, yeah,
If I typo it, it's really nasty.
review
Comments. All right.
underscore, yeah.
I've got a bunch of
Yeah,
them.
there's a lot that looks like there. Um, do you like secondary underscore task? I'm curious if you're seeing secondary success.
I would assume he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean I haven't looked into this, obviously. The smell is that there's some kind of scheduling issue on secondary, but so is nothing is collecting at all though? You're
No,
saying,
everything but that. Everything
It's
but the
that the
comments.
comment task that you searched for is the thing that, as far as I can tell, seems to be blocking the success task from running.
Because
But
it
it
will
seems like in
never,
your
it's
case,
never
both are
scheduling.
going.
Yeah. So ours are never even scheduling, so it doesn't even give our instance a shot to have a successful secondary collection because if it never gets scheduled, it can never succeed.
yeah, yeah. So you're saying, if I'm hearing correctly, pull request review comments never, I don't, if I made the same query on your Flower dashboard, I would see no successful completed pull request review comment tasks in
You
my
see
understanding.
nothing. It would just have
Nothing.
a
It
blank
would just be zero.
response.
Nothing.
None would be pending. None would be like about to run. Just nothing at
Zero.
all. Yeah.
But other secondary tasks are running.
Yeah.
All of them. All the rest of them are running and succeeding.
How big are so how big are the repos? So pull request review comments is never even starting or never
It
succeeding.
is. Or comments is never being started. It is never being scheduled. So it doesn't have anything to do with size. The size does not matter if it never even gets it. It doesn't get scheduled.
What's the task before what's the last tasks that you can see in the chain that's scheduled, Adrian?
I mean, so
It
all of the
one right before
everything
the
else.
pull requests, like the one that goes right before the comments one is we're seeing that succeeding. We're just not seeing
So pull
it.
request reviews is succeeding?
Yes.
Yes.
But then for some reason the task that's chained immediately after it is somehow not running. That's sort of what leads me to think that this is I feel like from my just super quick cursory search of open Celery issues, because my various AI assistants were saying like this is a common issue in Celery, and I went and looked at their issues and checked, and it looks like there are quite a few issues in Celery related to just various flavors of like nesting like chains inside groups or something like that. Um, so I suspect that that could be a very plausible cause. Um,
Um,
but
yeah,
I don't.
I don't.
The fact that it's only us is really strange too. I'm not sure what the heck is
Well,
happening
and the
there.
fact that it's quote unquote really you also is a factor that just has me
But also,
wondering.
you've got a bigger instance than us, so like, it's not even like this was like some of the tests, like the test cases we were running yesterday, were running fi like I was seeing these successes on my tiny local dev instance. Our prod is not happy.
But you
It
were
is not
doing,
working
you
on.
were running a like the what you ran locally though. Yeah, yes, it showed successes, but like that was not a correct solution. Um, because the way that you implemented it yesterday did not require pull request reviews to finish before pull request review comments.
It should have.
No, it
That
didn't.
was.
Like, because you don't have any chaining. Just it requires it to be scheduled beforehand, not that it has to finish beforehand. So it shows the scheduling order, but it allowed for that pull request review comments to start while pull request reviews was still going. But for smaller instances
For
with
the
like
same repo?
for a very small repo, you saw the successes, but it didn't require the ordering to be correct. That's why we had the
I think that's wrong. The docs I've been looking at for Celery chains say that it's chains and Celery allow you to link tasks together. The linked task is called when the
we
first
took
task
away the
returns
chain.
successfully.
We took away the chain.
No, I took the chain and I instead of having the chain inside the group, the chain was surrounding the group.
I guess I can say in practicality on our instance, that's not what happened.
Yeah, I know that, but also our instance is the one anomaly in
I
because
would be
now that
curious to see is your instance still running?
Is your
Or
is your
can you
flower
see your
dashboard
flower?
public?
No, we don't put anything public.
Okay.
We don't put any access to a repository, but you do have access to it. I'd be curious, Adrian, to look at the finish times or this like to see if the start time for pull request review comments on your instance is actually after the finish time for the related pull request review. Because if it is, then I'm happy to be wrong, but then I'm happy to be wrong makes it more interesting that it's a problem on our instance. I would be curious to see what if we're running a different Celery version or something like that. But the screenshot that I saw from your instance showed them all to be successfully collated, but I can't see if the ordering was held to the way that it's supposed to.
I'm looking into that. Collect pull request review. Okay. So collect pull request reviews received 1926, started 1926, succeeded 1926. This was all yesterday at UTC. And then the collect pull request review comments, it's all 1927. This is just for Chaos Augur repo. I can screen share if that helps, but
Yeah, I just would look at
Yeah.
each one because it's like it's a harder
Right.
thing because if it's super quick, I don't know if it's going to end like yeah, let's look at each of the
Yeah.
examples because
oh,
it's
come on, Zoom
hard.
UI.
Um, because I believe you
Zoom
on that
UI
one.
isn't it? So this
I
is
can
this is collect pull request reviews for Chaos Augur. Um, Everything's basically 1926 UTC. Um, so it basically started and finished within 30 seconds.
yeah, and so that's
And
why I'm
then
concerned is that
like pull request
like,
review comments. Well, I think this uh
because my thing is that I'm saying is that for something that is more than 30 like in these longer repositories it's requiring that it's like the scheduling order I agree with that's happening, but I think that it's allowing it to start, or at least we could say on our instance, it's allowing the scheduling order, the receive order is correct, but it is allowing the pull request review comments to start while pull request reviews is still going. And so with these shorter, like with the 30 seconds ones, that it's holding up. Um, which is anticipated. That's why I was going to say, like, let's try to go through a couple of different examples to see if that's holding for all of them. But if you only have really small repositories, even if this is a problem, I don't know if it's going to be shown. Yeah, what's up, Sean?
Do we know that it's running the for the same repository? So is it do we know that it's collecting reviews and review comments for the same repository at the same time? My
For the
expect
one instance on so we tried to run, there was a patch that Adrian tried yesterday, and we only saw one pull request review comments get scheduled, and that one got scheduled and was run and completed before its related pull request reviews was finished.
All right, so we have one
Are
that
any of these repositories sufficiently large? I sort of
I would just say, like, let's just look at each one and like look at some repository. I don't, it's not like I'm not going to be able to like look at the names of these random repositories and know they're.
the USD might be on the larger side, so that's
you can show more tasks too at the top. You can list 100 of
Yeah.
them.
I saw it though. So this is Z Galaxy BUSD.
That's comment. It's pull requests. It's collect pull requests. That's not what we want.
Well,
Yeah,
I was like
well,
so 1410, and then this one was
That's not
that was we
reviews.
want pull request
Pull request
reviews.
reviews.
Adrian,
oh
You
you
were looking.
reviews.
pulled pull
Oh, okay.
request. Yeah, pull request reviews and then pull requests.
Just show more tasks. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, collect pull request. Hey, there we go. So that's not the right one. Okay. Reviews 1926. So that end, it's like 30 to 44, 57 to 58. So these
So
are
it's
going
still,
pretty quick.
yeah. I mean, honestly, doesn't matter. I don't know if it matters with the patch that we're about to use for this, but I would say that in the larger term, I think it's beneficial for us to like to go down the rabbit hole to understand why this is happening,
No,
and
agreed.
that like, and again, I could be wrong. I don't know, like it's pointing to something being a little bit more complicated, that it's not happening on Sean's instance and it's happening on ours. I would love our over enthusiastic contributors, if they want to be helpful right now. It would be great for them to, and I might try to see if people will, like, if we can write this out, this would be a lot
So,
more useful for them to
so
contribute, would be for them to check this to see if
what I
other people's, yeah.
what I think I saw in the data though is that it did very rapidly move through pull request reviews and in a very brief time period after that do comments.
Yes.
And it only matters from the sequence matters only because that tells me whether or not something that we expect to be working in Celery is. It seems like Celery is working the way we expect it to, but there is still this problem with your secondary collection.
But I would say that the problem that we're seeing, like with this solution, would not show up in these, like these tasks are finishing too fast for
Right.
the error that we saw to pump up, because
Okay.
they're being received in the correct order. They are
Right.
being scheduled in the correct, they're like, it's the chaining is like pull request reviews is always coming before pull request comments. The problem is that pull request reviews was still actively running when
Mhm.
pull request reviews comments was started, and because comments doesn't have any comment, like that, it's able to finish so fast,
Uh,
because I would assume this is getting onto assumption land, but there's no pull request reviews for it to gather comments for, because it hasn't collected the reviews. So pull request reviews comments is going to finish really quickly, and then That's how you can see that inversion of like the
Or
completion is not, yeah, going.
I need to ask Andrew about this. I can't remember if we did this for the pull request review task, but in the case of many of the tasks, certainly in core and facade now, we have it so that it's only going to go back and collect things that it hasn't already collected. It's also possible that it's collected basically all the pull request reviews previously, and in this particular case, and that's why it's jumping through that fast and then jumping through comments fast because there's nothing
It's,
new.
I
That's
guess
what I
for
suspect
ours,
from my instance. Yeah, like
from your instance, yes, from ours, like even when we were looking at this like hours later, pull request reviews was still going. I don't know if I wish I would have taken more screenshots. I don't know if I ended up actually sending any screenshots to you. Yeah, I took one. Um,
How long are we letting it run? And I'm only asking that because if these are larger repositories, it just might be waiting for the finish signal. And I have seen this before where something I can see from a data perspective is finished, but for some reason it
oh
takes
wow.
Flower
Sorry.
like 2 hours to recognize it's finished.
So it's actually even worse than I thought. I'll share my screen.
Excellent.
Uh, that for you can see pull request reviews, comments, pull request reviews. You had pull request reviews, comments succeed, and this isn't even started yet. It's only received.
So that's possible if you've collected the reviews before. Like
For
if
this is these are null.
there are no reviews, there are no pull requests.
I'm
well,
saying that
it
like
sounds like it might be possible that like if because this has been we've been trying to hit secondary and try and figure this out for a while, and I imagine like the database would the database clear out review like so say pull request reviews runs, it collects all the reviews, stores them in the database, but secondary doesn't fully complete and get stamped as with a new date. If the instance gets restarted, is Augur going to clear out
my
those entries
understanding,
in the
as long as the
reviews?
task
No.
finishes, you're good. Like if you bring it down while the task is still actively going, it will clear it out. But if that singular task does finish, it will hold. Um, but
Sometimes it's also a byproduct of when how frequently your instance of the Postgres database is doing checkpoints as well. But you're
Ours
right,
should be
Kelly.
fairly
Kelly's
frequent.
right. But sometimes if I have a checkpoint run, I will get the partial collection. But Kelly's
but
point is
So
right.
so it sounds like this screenshot is potentially expected then. Like this is okay behavior. Because if because we've
I
been seeing up until now collect pull request reviews run successfully, and then we just never were seeing comments getting scheduled. And now with this patch, comments got scheduled and it ran successfully based on the potentially based on the reviews that were previously collected.
how
Possibly
does it
with the theory.
I guess I don't agree with that theory personally, but I would talk to like this would be something where it's like I would opt to Andrew because how would Augur know that it has the pull request reviews if the last collected on date is null and it hasn't even started? There's nothing
No,
there for it to check. Like
you're
I would
right.
You have
If
assume
the
to
at the
read
last
the
beginning of
database.
the what? There
If the
is
pull
no
request reviews are in the Augur data, whatever relevant Augur data table, it could just look through all like
how
grab all
does
the
it
reviews
know?
for that.
if secondary data, so we'd have to look at the way that the queries are being run. But as a principle, the secondary data collection, if its date of success is null, Augur is going to start assuming it hasn't collected anything. If it has, and that log entry in the collection status table is wrong, Augur will just pass over the ones that it's already collected very quickly.
And
So
that's
that
why I'm saying that there's no way that Augur knows, hey, this data is null, but there's data there until it starts the pull request review
that
task.
that's right. That has to be the case. You're right. That it
Well, the
won't,
pull request review task is already finished in
No,
the
it's
previous run.
but it's
but
not.
Augur doesn't know that. Augur in Augur's mind, this has never happened
So
because
there's a
Augur the date is for pull request. The last collected on date for secondary is null. So in Augur's mind, these tasks have never run in the lifetime of the instance for these repositories.
that's right.
Um, once that date has a value, then Augur's like, cool, I have data up until this date, then I start from there. But whenever once this task is started, then Augur's like, cool, I already have all this date. I'm not going to recollect, and then it goes. But it's not going to know that until that task starts. Does that make sense?
I think we can also discuss like maybe having Andrew around I think would probably help because
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
He
not
knows
fully
this.
familiar with like celery like scheduling versus
I think
like
what you're
when it
seeing is that
runs.
there is a discontinuity, Adrian, between what is in the collection status table and what's running in Celery. I've run into this myself on long-running repos before, where the secondary data last collected never gets updated, for example, but the tasks all seem to have succeeded on Celery and Flower. And so sometimes I've observed that if I wait many days, it will eventually get marked completed. Other times I've observed that it appears when something runs for longer than some amount of time, usually at least a week, if it finishes, I actually don't ever get to see that for some reason. So
Yeah.
I've seen anomalies like this before, if not this particular one. And I think they do arise from the non-deterministic nature of Celery. So I mean, I think
I'd
we're looking
say,
in the right
yeah.
place.
'Cause we were like yesterday, before we realized that there was a task not scheduling, we were hoping it was a similar issue that we were seeing, and I forget whether it was core or facade, where all the tasks were running, but because of I think it was like because of a scheduling issue, the success task was never going, so we were gonna manually add the success like tag and put it in the date. But because we figured out that no, it's not success because this task is never running. So one thing that I'm happy about is that for like I think the workaround that Andrew has given, so like it's not I don't think this is a good long-term solution. I think we should try to figure out what's going on, but I think that it does hold our data the data integrity is intact, and I'm hoping that we can get some of these repositories marked as for an initial collection, and we can kind of like start to figure out the nuances about this a little bit more to figure out where this gap is. But even as we go through this more, the workaround that Andrew put forward feels more like it's a solid it's a solid workaround. Which I don't know, Sean, if you are aware of what that is. I'm kind of just like is pretty much
I
putting
I I am still
yeah
catching up after being out for 10 days, so forgive me.
yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
that's what I was
know
gonna say. Yeah, Andrew suggested to just put the pull request review comments function, call it at the end of pull request reviews.
that that would ensure that it gets called, right?
And it would ensure ordering and it would ensure it gets called. Is that the long term? And that's why I'm like, is that the long term solution we want here? No, that's not really what we're trying to do,
Yeah.
but it does solve it, and maybe we can start to figure out. And it might be that we're just at a really weird asynchronous point of our like
Yeah.
larger repository that is caused by a nature of all these null dates that really shouldn't, that are like arbitrarily null, and they're really large, and rabbits freaking out. So
Yeah. It's gonna be
long,
interesting to bring that to Andrew tonight, especially once we test it and see how that
yeah.
goes.
So I think we beat the horse very dead.
Yeah,
Um, I'm.
yeah.
We want to. Have you gotten a chance to start it, Adrian, or you've been kind of
Not yet. I'll do
active?
that
Yeah.
after this call. I did
Yep.
also have a quick question for Sean as far as like the release process. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
this
yeah.
isn't
Let's focus on
necessarily
that.
like pre-ChaosCon thing, but like I do eventually want to kind of learn like what your process is for actually doing a release because it does. I feel like that would be helpful to just have some redundancy in how many of the core maintainers actually kind of know the release process. I think you mentioned on Discord or something that you had it doc. I don't know if that was no, I think that was something else. But
It was the
having
install process that
yeah, that was the install process. But like having documentation for like what are the steps that a maintainer should go through to do a release, I think would be helpful to just have so that in case you end up like
that
unexpectedly busy, like
we
I
have
could
a
always do a
it's
release.
it's an artisan bespoke process right now, very popular in Portland, but not necessarily something we should do for open source software. Um, so yeah, we should write that down. I think you're seeing a lot of the critical signals, which are obviously the CI has to all work because I trust that now. I didn't used to trust that that was finding defects. And really the bare metal smoke test is the next thing. So like that's almost constant where I'm constantly running a bare metal smoke test. And I just update it whenever we have a candidate for release. I am almost always trying to run off of main, which is kind of our dev branch, so that I am not waiting until the end to see what's working. So I have a test instance working on that. But yes, we should write these things down. I agree. Just to give you an idea, though, I don't want you to think it's like some mysterious, complicated process. I think you've seen most of the parts happen. You just haven't seen the artisan bespoke checklist that just is in my mind, but it needs to be elsewhere. So
Yeah. If you get
agree.
time at some point, I mean, it might have to be after ChaosCon at this point, but like feel free to just if you happen to write any of that down, like even just throw it in an issue and I can kind of take it from there. But
Yeah, I think what I'll do is while we're working on it tonight, I'll just make a note of all of the things I'm doing, and that will be a pretty good start at that.
Yeah, if y'all, I don't know why I potentially would be if y'all want any of my like point of view on this. I can't like I'm free from 6:30 to 7. But I don't know if I'm providing any new perspective that at this point y'all the two of y'all don't have. Um,
I'll let Adrian make that call. I I don't know.
I think Callie, I think the last invite I sent you for last week's meeting, I think I made it like a recurring invite, so you're free to drop into the maintainers calls. I think as far like I
I'm
think we
saying if you need it is a if my perspective is helpful, I will come bring prioritize the thing that you would like me to have put in a voice within the first 30 minutes. If you are like, either way,
we would
y'all,
never tell
y'all
you that
got it.
we would never tell you that your perspective is not helpful. I think it's a question of if it's, you know, helpful. It might speed us along on this path,
Like I said, we'll see. Just
but
let me know.
but it's the yeah, the other thing
I'm
you
gonna be
should know
starting
is
at 7. So if
Andrew
y'all
and
need anything from me, need it before 7.
yeah, okay. Yeah, Andrew and John are often late as well, so showing up at
Yeah.
5:30 or 6:30 your time might not even matter. So, um, but yeah, we're at time and I have another meeting. So
Yeah, me too. All right, sweet. I will talk to y'all later.
thanks everyone. Have a great day.
see you guys.